What's going on, YouTube? This is Jim Infanis, and today I want to talk to you guys about emotions in video games. I was talking with my friend the other day who is a non-gamer, and whoa, hold on. Gamers can have non-gamer friends. It's okay. I was talking with him the other day about recently beating the PlayStation 4 game Journey. And I was telling him what an emotional experience it was for me. And after I finished it, I just kind of sat there for a few minutes and just kind of pondered what I had seen. And I wasn't crying or anything like that. The ending is completely open to interpretation. The story actually is open to interpretation. It's a very artistic game. I don't want to give any spoilers away in case you decide to play it. I highly recommend it if you have not. But when I finished it, I just kind of sat there for a minute, kind of reflected on what I had seen. Anyways, I was telling my friend about that experience that I had, and he was like, I thought video games were just for shooting aliens and stuff, and it kind of made me laugh. And I will agree that video games are largely mindless entertainment. However, every now and then, some really good games kind of rise up to the top that really kind of take a step back, and I think those stories can only be told in a media in which you are controlling a player, where you kind of feel invested in the decisions that are being made because you're pressing the X button to do it, or you're pressing the left thumbstick to move forward. And you would not be able to experience that in a song or in a movie or in a book. It's something that you kind of make that decision, almost become that character, and you kind of feel the burden of the decisions in the story that are being made. And it really made me just think in general about some of the more emotionally invested video games that I have played in. I think Brothers Tale of Two Sons is definitely one that you should definitely check out. Although that story is a little bit more, I want to say ham-fisted, because it's not, but there's really not much interpretation in that story. It's pretty largely clear what happens at the end. But there's a really cool moment towards the end of the game that kind of changes the way you kind of experience the story. It has to do, not with my dog barking, it has to do with the way you control the characters. Throughout the game, one brother is one analog stick and one brother is the other analog stick. And that's all you use is analog sticks, by the way. So it's not overly complex by any means. So that game, I think, was one that really kind of made me think about, it really kind of hits you in the feels. Shadow of the Colossus, I will freely admit I bawled like a bitch. If I ever have to be an actor, which, I mean, look at this face. Why am I not being called every day, right? If I ever have to be an actor for for any kind of movie or something, and they're like, all right, in this scene, you need to cry, I could just think about Shadow of the Colossus, and within 5 minutes, just wet works, man. Still to this day, 33? 33-year-old man will be 34 in June. 33-year-old man could sit here and tell you he cries about a video game. Ico, obviously, both by Team Ico, both Shadow of the Colossus and the game Ico. Both of them very strong emotional experiences. And Final Fantasy VII, I think a lot of people agree with me on that. Not just because of the big death in there, but just the big swerve towards the end when you figure out who and what Cloud really is. It kind of just changes the way you kind of perceive things, and especially since you spend the entire game playing with him, minus a very small part when you're going through his memories as Tifa. Playing with him throughout the whole time, you kind of feel like him. You put your feelings into him, and then when you find out you're not what you thought you were, it's like, whoa, what a step back. So those are some games I just was going to throw out there that are very have a definitely emotional connection to me personally, right? I should say I have an emotional connection to them, but they definitely got me thinking about things in a way that I probably wouldn't have thought about before. I mean, like, you beat a lot of game endings and you're like, oh, okay, they drive off into the sunset or whatever. And then, that's it. It's over. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. But some of these games, the ones I just mentioned, I mean, years go by and I still think about them, which is weird. I mean, I still think about Shadow of the Colossus. I still think about Ico. I still think about Cloud's adventures in Final Fantasy VII. So they obviously did something right, unless I'm just kooky, which is possible. Which made me think about VR, and that's what the second subject of my my little blog here today is about. Is, VR is going to be coming here very soon. Oculus Rift announced that they're coming out with VR later this year, I believe. PlayStation will probably follow suit. I feel like VR could be a great way to experience that feeling even more so if it's done correctly and not overly cheesy. If you really like get invested in a game, I know a lot of people have talked about the Amplitude demo that they got to play at the PlayStation Experience, and the guy looked goofy as shit. If you guys saw the PlayStation Experience, there's a guy wearing this like full bodysuit, and he had like all these motors on it, and he was like vibrating while he was playing. Had these big giant headphones on out to here. But apparently it's like so immersive, like you can't separate the reality from the game. Like it hits you everywhere. It hits your ears. It hits your feeling. You know, I mean, maybe not your smell yet. Although maybe they'll add like a USB thing you put in your nose. I don't know. But that's probably the closest we're gonna get to like that Matrix type experience, at least in my lifetime, where you're just not here at all. You're just laying there and you're connected somewhere by a machine or something like that to an alternate reality. So I feel like VR could be a great next step for some of these games that are really storytelling, very emotional based. One other one I want to mention I just thought about because I know it just dropped on PlayStation 4 is Gone Home. And if I told you what Gone Home was about, I could do it in about 2 sentences. I don't want to ruin it for you, so don't worry, I'm not going to. But you'd probably look at it and be like, that's it? And I'd be like, yeah, that's it. But it's how you understand what's going on and how you understand, the plight of your younger sister as you explore this house. Very different way of telling a story. And again, I feel like maybe with VR, we could just amplify that feeling even more. And I'm really curious to see. There's going to be the gimmicky VR games. You're going to have the whole on-rail shooters or that kind of sort of thing. I know Samsung has their VR out now. I got to play with it, and it's all little games where you're like riding on a rail and you have to like shoot little balls at targets, and that's fun. But it's not like a story or anything. So I'm curious when they can integrate that element into gameplay, how much more of a great storytelling medium video games will be. And that really excites me as a gamer. For every Rainbow Six Siege out there, which is this kind of a mindless shooter where, maybe it's a little more tactical than others, there's a game like, Shadow of the Colossus or, something like that where you really kind of take a step back. So I hope that VR, yes, I know they're going to sell the whole flashy thing because that's going to be the immediate draw. That's the lowest common denominator if you want to think about it like that. And that's not a bad thing at all. I mean, we want flashy tech. That's what we're all about, right? I mean, that's kind of the way the world is these days. So getting that, getting flashy and exciting and cool 3D is one thing, but I really hope that at some point, some developer really says, you know what, we could tell some amazing stories here. And that's why maybe that game that's coming out called Dreams could be cool by Media Molecule. I don't know much about it yet, but it feels like that's maybe the first kind of game that maybe is venturing off and that like, we're going to make you feel something now. We're going to really kind of send a message to you guys. And we're going to do it with some cool VR tricks. And we're going to really immerse you in this world in a way that you would not be able to be immersed via just a TV and a controller. So we will see. But anyways, just wanted to ramble a little bit about some emotional feelings in games. It's all about the love here on my channel. Why not? One other thing I was going to mention about my friend who's still not a gamer. I did intrigue him when I told him about Journey, though. And he said that if he ever did decide to play games, he would want to come over because you could be journeying about an hour and a half. He wants to come over and try it out for himself, even though I told him everything about it, and he's probably going to totally take away the experience from him. And that's why I don't want to give anything away. I think I think a lot of those games you just really need to experience for yourself. I think even watching a video of somebody playing it just is not the same. It doesn't have the same feeling. So, anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the channel. Hope you enjoy emotional video games. It's okay to cry if you want to. If you don't want to cry and be a big tough guy and only play Call of Duty with 360 no-scope, well, you're a badass, and I will see you on the virtual battlefield. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.